welcome to Casper Core. My name is Calliope, and we are doing a very special treatment today. Is that correct? Yes, my notes here say that you've been here a few times. Is that correct? Okay, so we've already tried the memory scrub, the mind exfoliation, and the deep brain cleansing treatments. Okay, and what has been your goal for these treatments? Okay, I see. And have these treatments had any efficacy whatsoever? Yes and no. Okay. So it's definitely relieved some of the surrounding baggage, but hasn't gotten to the root cause. You are the perfect candidate then for our neural repair and restoration. I'm going to need to get in your head a little bit to start, so this might feel a little weird, but I'm going to try to gently open this up, okay? Just need to find this seam. So let me explain a little bit what we've got going on here. Have your other technicians had any issue finding the seam here? No, just me. Give me a moment, let's see. Okay. Let me find what I'm looking for first, and then we'll explain. So, we're gonna have to do a little bit of listening around. Maybe right down here. No. See. Right here. There we are, I can hear that. Okay. Alright. Just listening for the electrical buzz of activity, as that's what your brain does. It is primarily a ball of fat that has a bunch of lightning running through it. And where I can hear the activity better is where that little seam is, where the sound can escape. So let's go ahead and just... There we go. Okay. So, neural repair and restoration. I'm going to do a little scan of your brain, and we are going to look at your neural networks. More specifically, what I'm looking for are the ghost networks. So, when our brains form, when we are born, they undergo this rapid change where there is this explosion of knowledge that it is consuming and turning into neural connections. And after some point it slows down, and then we do continue to create these connections over our entire lives, but our brains are concerned with efficiency and it looks to prune out the neural pathways that it doesn't need or that it can create shortcuts for. And over time, the more and more that your brain runs along a pathway, the more the pathway is dug in, like a trail that has been walked by a whole bunch of people. So it's divoted into the land. And we can change these pathways, but we found a bit of an easier way to do this, which is to look up where the pathways originally were, when they were a little more beneficial for you, depending on what you're looking for, and repair them and restore them. So I need to get my little screen here so I can see what we've got going on here and what pathways we're particularly concerned with. Okay. So as an example of a shortcut, something that isn't too difficult to explain, if I were to ask you the question, 1 plus 1 equals, you would say 2. And you can come up with that instantly. There is a shortcut to that answer. You don't have to think about the concept of the number 1. What does a plus sign mean? The other one, what does an equal sign mean? It's just all in one instant answer. So the brain can do that with experiences as well. Okay, so I've got those narrowed down. I'm just going to keep this right here. And we're going to have another little listen. Okay, so for example, if as a child you got a good grade and you were praised by your loved ones, well, that creates a positive connection. And the more that experience happens, the more ingrained that particular connection becomes. But if you received a good grade and did not get a positive reaction, well, then that creates a negative experience. And if that happens again, it digs in more. If it happens again, it digs in more. And ultimately, you eventually learn that getting good grades doesn't seem to matter at all, which can create all sorts of consequences. Okay. Just keep this right here for now. So I'm going to be using some fine tools here, and we're going to be rearranging things, and I've got a tool to cut the pathways, and then we can move things around almost like a switchboard. So I want to start. There was this one right here. If I can grab it, there we go. So right at the root, I'm going to cut this one. And then we're going to take it and we're going to put it, let's see, where was it originally? Just grab my, okay. move this over here. There. Okay. I'm just going to note down how many pathways that I rearrange so I can seal them up later. So let's see. So as an adult, a lot of times, a lot of these pathways are pretty well dug in. But that doesn't have to mean that they stay that way forever. Okay. You can change them yourself, but it takes a long time and a lot of effort. And sometimes things are just so dug in that it's just incredibly difficult. And that's where we come in. We can help out a bit. Let's see, can I grab this one? Yeah. And then we'll just take that. Oh. Okay, a little tangled here. Oh, there we go. Okay, just gotta bring that. Oh, this one's really stuck in there, isn't it? Okay, what's the deal here? Alright, may have to revisit this one. I think there's a few things in the way. It's a pretty deep one. So, let's note that one down for one that I have to come back to. So, sometimes what can happen is that our neural pathways, our little shortcuts, can prune out the nuance and lead to black and white thinking, which doesn't often serve us very well. Oh, this one's much easier. There. Okay. Good. This is going to take a while. There's quite a few of these. And I just want to check up what we've got going on. Yeah. So let's dig through here a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to move this one. Good. And, oh, no, I'm going to move this one. That is a rather tricky one, actually. Yeah, just have to really dig in there. So, say for example that you have a history of people not showing up when you need them, and over time it becomes the thought of nobody is going to stay in my life, everyone's going to leave, so there's no point in even trying. Your brain has made that shortcut, and it's not a very healthy one. What is with this one? Just want to move this one and then get to this one. There we are. Gotcha. Can I get underneath? Yes, I can. Okay. So let's go ahead and just snip the root connection. And then let's move this guy. It's still underneath there, so I'm just gonna have to pull it out a little bit. Let's see. Let's just pull this one forward. There we go. There we go. So yes, you end up creating these shortcuts, and then a person who has thoughts like that might not try socially anymore because of that connection. So that's where we come in and we snip that connection. Gotta get under here. And we follow the ghost network. And we bring it back to a time where maybe the thought process was a little longer. And instead of no one is going to show up for me, everyone abandons me, it becomes something more like giving people the benefit of the doubt, accepting nuance. Maybe something came up. Maybe just figuring that that person wasn't someone you should have a relationship with because they weren't very committed, instead of condemning all relationships, right? So we're giving you back nuance and other ways of thinking instead of just the worst one. Now your situation. We've got it all plotted in our chart here, so that's what we're working on is we are repairing and restoring the neural network so that we can get you to a healthier frame of mind as well and kickstart the ability to make new neural pathways. It's something that has been somewhat of a new concept to a point, neuroplasticity. Right there. And it was thought for a very long time that our brains just stopped growing at like age 25. And that was that. And there wasn't a lot you could do about trying to change things. You were pretty set in stone. That's not true at all. It's not easy, but it is absolutely possible to change the neural pathways. It happens all the time. So let's go ahead and do a little checkup here. Let's do a checkup. So this is going to highlight where we've been working, so I can see on my screen where we still need to go. And there are so many neural connections. That's why it's a lot to repair and restore all of them. Good. Let's take a Let's see what we've got so far. Okay, we've got some of them, but there are still quite a few left to go. But now that that's updated, and we've been able to rearrange some things, I want to come back to this one, which didn't want to move. It was very stubborn. Come on. No. We're gonna have to look a little bit more around there. Maybe it'll loosen up at some point. So, how you doing? Yeah, it's a bit of a weird feeling to have your neural connections rearranged in real time. So just let me know if you need a pause at all. Alright, so I missed this guy on top. So let's get that one. Let's go ahead and snip it. There. And then this one we're gonna bring. Oh, that one's stuck too. Well, we don't have to go very far. The Ghost Network here. This one wasn't that far off from where you began, so there we go. They're not all deep-seated. They're not all almost permanently etched, but there are quite a few of them. What about this guy? What is going on there? There. Okay. I gotta get this out of the way. There. Okay, and then can I just, there we are. Move that over here. Good, okay. So have I been keeping track here? I think I missed 2 there with that one. Let's take a little listen. Make sure everybody's settling in. Sometimes some pathways can be a little resistant to the process. I just want to check in, make sure everyone's harmonizing. Okay, hearing happy little buzzes here. It's this kind of, it almost sounds like rushing water, maybe. It's this constant low tone, has a bit of a white noise quality to it, but that's what we want to hear. So let me just take a peek. Since we're rearranging everything, sometimes wires can get crossed a bit. But it seems to be okay so far. So let's go ahead and just keep trucking along. So I saw underneath here, if I can get that. Yep, just need to move it out of the way. Okay. 10 so far. And then one right there that isn't ready yet. So let's see where we're at in your neural plan. Okay, so some of these ghost networks that we have next, it looks like they're a little hidden, which makes sense because not all of them are going to be on the surface, so let's peel back some layers here. Okay, what about this one? Good. Pull that forward. And then get under there. Okay. Right in there. And you're going to just follow that. Oh, no. Lost that one. Luckily, it's just kind of flapping about in the wind. Okay, come on. That one's being sneaky. Let's try. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I see what's going on here. I'm gonna take this top layer and pull it back. Okay. And then I'm going to take this second layer and I'm going to pull it forward. Okay. And then that gives me a bit of clearance if I just put there. Okay. Let's just get that where there it's supposed to be going. Okay. Now I'm going to move this one right over here. Lot of air traffic today. I don't know that I've ever heard so much before. Makes you wonder what they're doing up there. Okay, and then there we go. There she is, and snip. Nope. Snip. Okay. Let's just jot those couple down there. Alright. So I see one in the back there that I need to pull. Nope, come on. Need to pull this branch right here. Come on. Oh, it's partially tucked under there. Let me go at it from the other side, because that one's not, I don't think. This one's frustrating. Can I even get under there? Oh, but just there. Okay, so if I pull this one forward on that side, then maybe we can come under here. Yes, we can. And I'm not going to get it all the way, but I can get most of it. There. it's least visible. Okay. And then let's just bring this over. And then I want to do another scan because we've kind of gotten up there with the numbers. Got a new color here. So I just want to try to see what we've got left. I want to make sure things are where they're supposed to be. So I gotta get kind of deep in there. Okay, what about under these bundles? Okay, what's our updated map look like? Okay, I don't have enough data from back in here. Okay, I need to get deep in there. That one's tricky. Oh, it slipped. Okay. Good. All right. So where are we at now? Alrighty. Gotta get in the middle. That'll do it. Alright. We've got a couple more, and then we're gonna start sealing those up. Almost kind of like soldering, really. Alright. I'm gonna get into this one. Oh, that one's... Oh, okay. To pull that one out of there. Oh, no, that one there. Okay, right there. Glad that one didn't have quite a ways to go, because that was a real pain. So, let's just keep on trucking here. I'll have to add that to the tally in a moment. Okay, there she is. Oh, no, there. Come on. There we go. Whew. Yeah. Alright, so add 2 to the tally. We're up to 15, and then that 1. Let's try to get that 1. So now it's completely on top. There shouldn't be any obstacles, and don't have very far to go. Come on. Come on. There. Finally, so let's go ahead and cross that one out. So we have 16. 16. we're done here, I'm going to give you a set of instructions that I really need you to read and digest, because the thing with rearranging, well, how the brain's made up, how it sends signals, its pathways, it can be rather disorienting. And I just want to make sure you're not surprised by anything. And that you are set up for success, because even though we can repair these and restore them, now we've created new ghost networks, new ghost pathways, and it's possible for them to reform. So we just want to be cognizant of that and do what we can to make sure that they don't. Okay, underneath here. There you are. Okay. Just keep moving this. Right here. Okay. So let me make sure everybody's playing nice. And then I think I've got everybody. Yeah, that's all marked off. We can start sealing them up. So I'm going to switch to the bell here. We're just going to listen. Good. The bell's good for low sounds and the electrical activity might be a little quieter while everybody's trying to figure out the new reorganization system. Good. Sounds like sitting next to a really quiet waterfall. So I won't need this anymore. And this time, I use my little tool to seal these connections. So we have 18 to get into. We're just going to press that in there and let that go. Okay. There. Get under there and let that go. Good. This is where it's a little tricky because I've really uncovered a lot of things here. Good. What about down in here? It's gonna be shopping around. See what I can do here. Okay. Let's go ahead and just cool that down. And we'll just get a little bit of some clear light and just run it over everything. And then we'll try to set everything back. Good. So I'll give you that paperwork and I'll be peachy. And I wouldn't recommend doing this treatment again for at least a year. Ooh, that's being tricky. Come on. There we go. At least a year. More is probably better. 2 years at least. But sometimes some things are really set in stone, so we can always do maintenance. But I wouldn't do any other brain treatments either for a while, so no memory scrubs, no mind exfoliations, no deep brain cleansings, nothing for, let's go with 9 to 12 months. Alright. Okay, so let's go ahead and put everybody back. So this goes over here. Just putting the layers back. Then we'll close you up. Good. Oh, no, that one. That one goes under, that one goes over. Okay, let's go ahead and bring this back. And that should be good. So let me just check the seal. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. So, literature. Let's see, we want this one, and this one, okay, so let me write down, so we repaired and restored 18 neural pathways, and there's a record on here which ones that we did, so I'll keep a copy of this. And then if you need this done again, then it's something we can check up on, see if we need to do it again. But let me just take that. Okay. So these are for you. Do you have any questions at all? Yeah, just feel a little odd. Yeah, I imagine. When you get home, I would certainly take it easy. Just gotta hang out. Sleep is your best friend. Sleep is going to allow your brain to explore what the new system is and give it time to just meld together. All right? All right. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us here at Casper Core for your neural repair and restoration treatment. I hope that this is incredibly beneficial for you, that it helps you much more than you were even looking for. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you.